everyone. There you are, Miata. I see you now. If everybody could mute themselves, that would be appreciated. Otherwise, we're going to have to mute you ourselves. Stacy Wren is going to, PTO Council President, is going to be our recording, and I don't know, you're in charge of the rules here. Welcome. I'm Emily Brayman. I'm co-president of the middle school PTO with Kevin Lowry, who I believe is not here yet, but is probably joining us. So this presentation is called High School Course Pathways and Where They Lead. And I thought this up on my own as because my kids are much older. So my baby is in middle school. My oldest graduated from Shaker in 2012. My next one graduated in 2019. One went on to the University of Colorado, just got a master's degree. And the other one is a sophomore in college. I have a junior, and my baby is the 8th grader. And so when you've raised a child to adulthood and you look back and you go into the high school with your youngest, it's a really different experience than going into the high school with your oldest. And in one of those ways, like, I feel like Sophie, my sophomore in college, was in the top math and took nine honors math in high school, and then 10 honors math and 11 honors math. And what does that even mean? What it meant in our family is that Sophie texted me her senior year and said, "Why am I taking BC calculus? I don't need this class to get into med school." And she does want to get into med school, but then she found out later she didn't need it to get out of med school. And so my answer was, well, just because we didn't really know. That was the path you were on. So I felt that it would be really important to other families to know where these paths lead. Like, what is the high school? What is offered there? What are all these letters? And when you step on a pathway with your child, like, where does it go? So we've invited Dr. John Moore, who is the IB coordinator at the high school. And he's brought three of his colleagues, David Peterjohn, who's the head guidance counselor at the high school, Eric Babcock, a math teacher, and Karen DiMaduro, who I'm guessing is art. And they are gonna tell us what's next, what is going on at the high school.
Well, thanks, Emily, and thanks for the invite. Any opportunity that we have to share about some of the amazing things going on at the high school, we're always going to jump at that opportunity. I am so incredibly grateful to my colleagues for joining me here. They're each experts in one aspect of what we're going to share with you here tonight. Our goal as we go about this evening is really just what Emily said, to share some of the amazing opportunities that young people at the high school have to take. We'll each take a little segment of that, and then at the end, we'll have time for questions. So I hope that agenda works for you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We will share this slideshow with Emily. There's a lot of links in there, ways to find out more information, and we invite you to take a closer look at your own leisure. All right. Again, a little bit of context, really our key questions. The spirit in which we'll be sharing tonight is, what can my child do? What are some of their opportunities once they're at the high school? And is there anything we need to be thinking about now to gear them up, get them ready, get us thinking about some of the amazing opportunities we're going to share? While each of us has, a little aspect of this slideshow, we're going to be filling in for each other and supporting each other and answering questions from one another as well. So even though Eric Babcock is one of the most amazing educators you will ever meet and does a phenomenal job in the AP Math Loop, which he'll tell you more about, you can ask, and we'll each share a little bit about our experience in AP courses in general. We have a lot of options. There are no prerequisites. You'll hear a little bit about that there for many of these, if not most of them. APUSH and AP Bio, your first chances in 10th grade. And I'm going to pass it over to Eric to talk a little bit about his specific experience. And he can tell us more about what it looks like in math, as well as maybe, Eric, if you will, what college credit might look like, maybe what the scoring system look like, and anything else that you might find helpful or useful. So advanced placement, AP, first up. Eric, what do you got for us?
Well, I'm Eric Babcock. Thanks for the glowing introduction, John. So I teach the cycle of math that occurs at the high school, which is one of the weirdest things that I've ever seen. And it's one of the most fantastic things that happens at Shaker from a math teacher's perspective, because I get to work with the same group of kids that I see 3 years in a row, and I get to teach them some really, really hard math. And it's important to know what that is before you get your kids involved in it, because they end up really liking their teacher and they push to be in classes that they might not actually need. So it's a good thing to know exactly what it is. Most AP kind of starts in 10th grade. That's where everything kind of takes off, and that's specific with the A push, which I was very confused with when I came to Shaker, but it's AP US History and AP Bio, and they're two very challenging courses. And then coupled with that is also the 10 Math Honors course, which is not for AP credit, but similar level of difficulty, just a little bit less. And that course kind of escalates as you go throughout the year, and then it's followed by 11 Math Honors. And then you do BC Calculus in your senior year. The big thing with the college credit, because I also taught the AB Calculus. So calculus comes in two brands, AB Calculus and BC Calculus. BC Calculus is all of AB Calculus with a little bit of extra stuff at the end. And in my AB Calculus class, generally students scored well, but with the way colleges are, it's kind of tricky to determine whether or not you're going to get college credit for the courses, because if you get a 4 or a 5, the chances are pretty high that you'll get college credit for Calculus 1, but you may not get college credit for Calculus 2. I know many students who would go to Calculus, even though they scored very, very well in the AP class, and either choose to retake the Calculus course or not get college credit for whatever reason. Maybe the college wanted a 5 instead of a 4. So it's kind of tricky to gauge whether or not college credit will happen. But the big thing that's nice about the courses is that there's a test at the end, and it's not put together by the teachers. And that's graded by College Board, and they get a score from 0 to 5. And they're rigorous tests, which I really like as a teacher, that there's rigorous tests at the end, because I can give my kids something to motivate them to do well. You're going to need to know this on the test, and make those kind of comments. And it just gives you something to strive for and work towards. I think when it comes to AP, the nice thing about it is you can take one AP course in your entire time at the high school. I think that's the real huge benefit to AP. If you only like math, you can only take AP Math. Like, that's the big perk. Or if you like math and English, you can take AP Math and AP English. If you hate history, you never need to take an AP History course. And it lets kids kind of pick and choose what they like the most. I don't think
Eric, could I just chime in real quick? I'm sorry. Were you done, or did I overstep my bounds?
Yeah, I am totally done. You go right ahead.
Okay, and I apologize, and you were talking about credit, and just so I think I'm talking to mostly middle school parents this evening. Welcome, and thank you for having us. I will say, Emily, I can't believe Marissa's 9 years out now. That I'm feeling kind of old, but anyway, that's a sidelight. In terms of the AP credit, what we're finding nowadays from the college and college admission standpoint, if you're looking at a state school in Ohio, for the most part, if you get a 3 or higher on any AP test, for the most part, it's never set in stone. It's a school by school decision. But for the most part, if you get a 3 or higher, in an AP, on an AP exam, you will get some sort of college credit. However, perhaps if you're looking at an engineering program, they may not take a 3 in calculus. You may have to get a 4 or 5. It just depends on the school and the program. I will also say some of the private, more selective colleges and universities, you may need to get 4s and 5s to get credit. And I will also say that some of the really, and I hate to be getting this far ahead because you guys have children that are only in 7th or 8th grade, but some of the really more highly selective universities and colleges throughout the country, they don't even take AP or IB credit anymore. And that's just the way it is. They're not even accepting AP or IB credit. It may allow you to get into a more advanced class once you get to that college or university, but it's not going to allow you to graduate in 3 years or 2 years from one of those real selective colleges and universities. So that's just a little more information. I don't know if it's too much, but just to give you some information about college credits into the future when your children will be looking at colleges perhaps down the line.
I think we're trying to understand high school first and then get
Oh,
into.
no, well, I apologize. And
No,
he
it's
just mentioned college credit, so
No, it's
So-
good.
Well, and I got to be honest though, Emily, if I can give my own editorial on that, and Dave, I'm glad personally that you shared that, because oftentimes when young people work with us and they are making class decisions, that's one of the most common questions that we get as people are making those calls of, do I want to take this or that? It's probably one of the most common questions. Dave, I'm so glad that you shared. In fact, we're going to keep the Dave train going because we want to tell you a little bit about our next, Emily calls it alphabet soup or what have you, College Credit Plus, also known as CCP. Dave, what can you tell us about CCP?
sure. I can give you some basic information here about CCP as it's known. College Credit Plus, and you'll hear the alphabet CCP. Basically, it's a program. If anybody has older children, it used to be called Post-Secondary Enrollment Options, PSEO. Now it's called College Credit Plus, but it's a program where any student in grades 7 through 12 can earn both college credit and high school credit at the same time. And it's paid for through the local district, by the state through the local district. So it's a really great opportunity for students to experiment with some college level courses. Personally, I recommend that students should be at least in high school, in my opinion, preferably 11th and 12th grade, but it's open to any student in grades 7 through 12. Typically, you have to qualify. You do have to take some sort of a college entrance test or AccuPlacer at some of the schools, or provide them with an ACT or an SAT score that indicates that you're college ready. And some students are able to finish high school with perhaps 1 year of college under their belt, or starting on a specific program or degree or certificate. If you, and once again, I'm getting further down the road, but if you're, it adds to the high school offerings. It's in addition to what we already offer. And I will say that we offer several classes at Shaker Heights High School. So the students don't actually have to go to Tri-C or Cleveland State or Case Western. We offer typically for seniors, some juniors, a college composition 101, 1010, and 1020. So students can earn two years or 2 credits of English in high school for a college writing class. We also offer, and Ms. Tomorrow, maybe we'll be able to talk to this a little bit. We offer several art classes through a Kenyon academic partnership. Kenyon, we're offering credits through Kenyon. We have some art classes, a photography class, a digital multimedia class, I believe. I'm not sure if that one's still on the books. And we also are very blessed to have through Kenyon College as well, 2 college semesters of one of early Black history and one of contemporary Black history. And those are just 2 examples beyond AP and IB of, courses that students, if they really have an interest or passion in, can pursue and take when they're at high school. Yes.
We just got a question. And this is where I say, I always think you guys know so much and you don't know how little parents know. So we just got a question. What's the difference between CCP and AP? They sound the same. So can
Okay,
we just
so
start with a little bit of
that's a very good
IB,
question.
IB, AP, CCP? Everybody in Shaker is IB, but at the high school, and I know John has a slide on this, but can you, John, give us an umbrella? Because we're just,
Yeah, we're taking them one at a time. I think this is a great spot to talk about a CCP and AP comparison. And that is certainly part of what we want to do here tonight. And we'll layer on IB with that as well. Essentially, both AP and CCP are, I would say, an a la carte buffet. You heard Mr. Babcock talk about how you can pick and choose individual courses that might be of interest to you. College Credit Plus is similar in that regard. Babcock and Peter John can talk more on this as they see it. But there are differences when it comes to college credit acceptance. There are differences in how the course is run or accessed. So, for example, in advanced placement courses, there's no prerequisite. You can jump on that AP class, whenever between your 10th to 12th grade year. But Mr. Peter John introduced something really important for College Credit Plus. Unlike AP, where we welcome all students and would encourage all students to have some exposure there to an advanced placement course, College Credit Plus, because it is transcripted on your college transcript, I should say, there is a prerequisite in a form of college readiness, whether that's ACT or a placement test or something like that. So there are a lot of similarities with AP and CCP, and Eric and Dave can talk more to that, but they're both just rigorous course options for young people. We'll compare that in a bit, what that might look like alongside IB, our diploma program for 11th to 12th graders, which is probably more like the 3-course meal rather than the buffet, where you are getting a programmatic experience when compared to CCP and AP, where you can really pick and choose. That is how I might describe or compare them at a very, very surface level. Eric or Dave, do you have thoughts on how CCP and AP might compare?
I don't know if Eric wants to say anything. I'll try to chime in here. Okay. I guess the big thing is, and this is maybe technical before I get into AP is a program that's sponsored through the College Board. It's a national curriculum for each course. CCP, College Credit Plus, is specific through the state of Ohio, and the curriculum might be a little bit different depending if you went to Tri-C or Cleveland State, or we've had some students go to Kent State, Case Western. John Carroll, I believe, is no longer going to be participating in CCP. So the curriculum might be a little bit different from school to school. In order to earn college credit, you have to get a certain score on the AP exam at the end of the year that the students take in May. In order to get college credit in CCP, students just have to get a C or higher in the class that they take. If you get a C or higher in the class that you take for CCP, you'll earn college credit. Now, the thing there is, this is what it may be getting a little bit further ahead also, the only guarantee of college credit, though, is if you stay in Ohio and go to an Ohio State school, because they have a guaranteed transfer policy. If students get a C or better, if you go to Ohio State, Miami of Ohio, OU, Cincinnati, etc., you automatically get the credit. If you go to a private school or out of state, then it's more on a case-by-case basis, if you're going to get the credit or not for CCP. So those are some other, I guess, differences, distinguishing points between the two. They're both really good programs. The other thing would be with College Credit Plus, except for the 4 or 5 classes I mentioned, the Kenyon art classes, the Kenyan African American history classes, and we offer a couple of Tri-C math and Tri-C composition classes at Shaker, taught by Shaker teachers. The rest of the program, students usually have to go to and take the classes at Cleveland State or Notre Dame College or Tri-C. So they're not at Shaker Heights High School, and the students are treated like college students. There is no progress book for a parent to log on and see how their student is doing. The professors are college level professors, and they're not going to have like conference time. They'll have open office hours, but they don't have conference time like the high school has. So students are treated like college students, and they really have to be ready, mature, physically, emotionally, to take these college level courses.
I think Dave gave us a great summary and really a key piece of information as I see it, Dave. And I just want to reiterate one of your points. Oftentimes young people that I talk with, they're making that distinction where College Credit Plus is going to guarantee you, assuming that you pass the class, credit at a public Ohio institution. That is not the case if you choose to go to college in Pennsylvania or Rhode Island or somewhere outside of Ohio, as opposed to advanced placement, or as we'll get to, IB, which is a more national or international recognition. You have some more flexibility there in public and private institutions, both within Ohio and beyond. Again, we're going to continue these conversations and continue these comparisons, but we have 3 more stops for you before you have the full picture and can really start to pick this apart and do some comparisons. Because he's so good at what he does, you're not going to believe it. We've got one last slide from Mr. Dave Peterjohn before we give him a break. And that's about our career technical education options. Here's your next quiz on your alphabet soup. CTE. If you hear somebody say CTE, you've got career technical education. And here's a little bit about that. Thanks, Mr. Peterjohn.
All right, thank you, John. One other thing with I'm sorry to go back to CCP and AP and IB. The CCP is free. It's paid for by the state of Ohio. AP and IB, students, families have to pay money to take these exams at the end of the year. And John can talk a little bit more about that when his slide comes up. But I know the AP exams are, I think, close to $100 per exam now. So that's another distinguishing point between CCP and the AP and IB. So yes, career technical education. And this is something that's I've been involved with my entire career, whether it was at Shaker, Orange High School, West Geauga High School, my early years as being a counselor. So CTE, as it's the longer version, is career technical education. We have a couple links here, but just real quickly, so Shaker is in a consortium with 4 other districts: Bedford, Cleveland Heights, University Heights, Maple Heights, and Warrensville Heights. The 5 districts form what is called the Heights Consortium. And we have 20 different, up to 20, I think it's close to 20 career technical education programs. And these are 2-year programs where students make a commitment in 10th grade. They apply as 10th graders, and they're taking the program in their 11th and 12th grade years. So they're taking the programs over 2 years. And once again, depending on the programs and how well the students do in the programs, a lot of these programs have agreements with, Tri-C, Cleveland State, where students can earn some college credit if they do really well, or they can earn some industry recognized credentials or licensure. So this is another opportunity that I think is important. Like AP and IB, it's not for every student, but I think, just to reemphasize what John Moore said earlier, the high school has so many opportunities across the spectrum, and it's really a great chance for students to pursue their passions, explore their interest. And as I think Mr. Babcock mentioned, you don't have to take every single AP class. If you're into math or science or literature or languages or history. You can really go crazy in those areas, and maybe you don't have to go at the highest level in another area. And that's okay, because you want to have time for your friends and your family and your extracurriculars and all that kind of stuff. But Dr. Moore, if you could quickly maybe open up that first link just so families can, and they'll have this. The first link is a cheat sheet that we put together this year, very general overview about kind of a quick cheat sheet about the career tech programs. And as families will have access to this after we're done tonight. But students are still Shaker students. Even if you take a class at Cleveland Heights High School, you're still a Shaker, and you're not there for the whole day. Typically, students split half their day at Shaker and half their day at the program. Typically, as a junior, you're at your program in the morning, and then you come back to Shaker in the afternoon to do your English, your math, your science, your social studies, etc. Yes.
Dave, can you tell us a couple, like, what could you study there? I know
So-
I interviewed a kid who did his senior project who had done auto mechanics, and he did his senior project and he got a job and he was going to technical school and he was really excited. But what programs are there?
Right. So Dr. Moore, at the bottom of the slideshow, there was a link to the consortium website, and Dr. Moore is hovering over right now. Audio engineering for students that want to get into like music production, auto technology, health careers. It's not just nursing and doctors, but there's a lot of other health related careers out there. Culinary arts is a new one that's just come about in the last couple of years. And they have a great kitchen out at Tri-C East that the students get to use in their senior year. This engineering and science technologies, the first one. Thank you, Dr. Moore. This is the first program that Shaker is going to house at Shaker. And we're really excited with Dr. Morenzik and Mr. Turner and Mr. McGuan, and with the Shaker Foundation spent a lot of money to put in machining, robotics, manufacturing. Students would take an intro to engineering and a robotics class their junior year, and then they would take a machining and an engineering applications class their senior year. Now, Shaker students are going to be able to take these classes a la carte, but students could also take it as part of this 2-year program. Those are some. There's a firefighter EMT program, which is another one that can be very popular. A business management, financial management. There's for students that might be interested in education. There's a teacher academy program, and these construction tech. That's another one that when I first started out, they didn't have that. And when I left Orange and West Geauga, they were bringing that into the Mayfield Consortium. And we are now part of this Heights Consortium. We have construction tech. That's a great program. So there's just a lot of wonderful opportunities for students to pursue, things they're interested in. And I will say, for me, someone that's been out of high school for a long time, correct, Emily? We've been out for a while. It's not like it was 25, 30 years ago. These CTE programs a lot of these students want to go on and get more education after high school, or what they do in high school is laying the foundation for potentially an engineering major or something like that. So it's not just there are certain standards here, and it's not like it was 25, 30 years ago. So this is just the CTE, the Career Technical Education Program it's just another nice opportunity for students to pursue if they have interest. And Shaker, we do provide transportation back and forth between the programs, so that's not something the families have to worry about. The one thing is it does cut in a little bit to some of the electives that Shaker has to offer. You can only do so much because you split your days between the two schools. You can't do everything. You might not be able to do band or orchestra, choir. It just depends on. Usually you can do one elective, but if you stick to the core subjects of English, math, science, and social studies, it's kind of tough to get in those elective courses. But every student's different, and we can look at options as they get to that stage. And typically it is in 10th grade when in a normal situation, and hopefully we'll go back to this next year, the counselors, myself, and some of my colleagues, We try to go into the English and history classes and talk about these programs in 10th grade. But this is why I think it's really great to talk to parents now, so people are aware of options down the road. And we then take students over for a fair. There's a fair every year where the students can meet and talk to current students and talk to the teachers. And it's a great way to learn more about the program. Dr. Moore, the second link up at the top there is they did a virtual fair this year, and families can go in and click on and learn about these different programs virtually. And if you look at the upper right-hand corner there where it says schedules and links, click on that. You can click on any program and listen to the teacher, hear from some students to see what those programs are all about. And I think Dr. Morenzig probably put something together here. Yeah.
So Dave, we just got a question. Do colleges recognize these programs as easily as they would a regular math class? I think it depends, right? Some are technical career paths for kids.
Right. I guess it's yeah. I mean, in terms of giving credit like AP or IB, probably not. Well, I take that back. As I said earlier, some of these programs do give. It's probably going to be more local within the state or community colleges like a Cleveland State or Tri-C. But if a student is, like, say a student does the engineering program and they take Intro to Calculus or BC Calculus by the time they graduate, and a student wants to go into engineering on their college application, I think that's something that could be a positive impact in that student's application. Of course, that's very generally speaking. And I think it depends on the program. It really depends on the program and what the student says they want to go into. If a teacher says they want, if a student says they want to go into education and they've taken the Teacher Academy program, I think that's something that could, benefit that student in the college application process. It just really depends on the program and what the student thinks they want to do beyond high school. I don't know if that answered the question or not.
I think that's good. Okay.
Okay, you'll have a chance to circle back with Mr. Peter John and ask all your College Credit Plus and CTE questions. We're going to take a moment to transition now to Ms. DeMauro, who will tell us a little bit about all of the amazing visual arts opportunities that we have. In fact, she's included a special gift for us by giving us or showing us some current or recent student work. Karen, what do you say?
All right, well, good evening, everybody. I am so excited to share with you the amazing visual arts program that we offer at the high school. We actually have 8 visual art teachers, all gifted in their area that they teach. And our students are very successful in local, state, and national competitions. And a number of our kids go on to our school and have been very successful in our careers. This is just our philosophy, but it might be easier because I'm a visual person to look at the student artwork, and I can talk you through the classes that we offer. So this is art exploration, and this is geared mostly, we'd like the 9th graders to take this course. We actually teach 10, sometimes this year, I think we have 12 art exploration courses running. 4 different teachers are teaching it. It is a foundation course, so students are going on to other levels of classes. We'd like them to take the art exploration so they have a better understanding of technical skills and drawing abilities. And this is the work that students will produce in art exploration in their 9th grade year. So we do perspective, observational drawing, they do self-portraits. So a little example about art exploration, and it is a full year course. One pathway students can take is they can go drawing in 10th grade, and the portrait of the girl is from 10th grade. Then they would go into IB/honors painting, and the painting in the middle is an example of a student's work from painting course. In that class, they're working with oils and learning color theory. Again, these are all year-long courses. And then they can go in their senior year into IB Advanced Portfolio. And IB Advanced Portfolio is a double period program or class, which really gives the kids an opportunity to have almost 2 hours a day to create their art. And they're creating their own series of work. So prior to this, it's all project-based. When they get to portfolio, they're creating their own mark, their own art making, and it's more student-led. And in that class, they build a portfolio that they are ready to present to schools for scholarships and entrance into art schools. And they will also be prepared to have an IB exhibition of their work. Okay, next slide. We also offer illustration digital design, and Mr. Holliday teaches this course. So again, they would take art exploration is required first in 9th grade, and they would go into in 10th grade illustration digital design. Again, where they're learning basic Photoshop techniques. They're also learning drawing techniques in this class. More focus on the logo designs and marketing, but they do their self-portraits in this class. And then they go into IDD2, which again is just pushing that. And we have Huon tablets that we received from the foundation last year. So every student has these state-of-the-art Huon tablets where they can actually draw and paint right on the screen. And that's what they use in the industry. And then from there, they can go on to multimedia, which would be their senior year, where they do animation and film, and also continue work with the graphics. And again, in this pathway, multimedia and IDD2 are also IB courses. So they would also create an IB exhibition. And students in this pathway, a lot of these students will also go on to art school and create a portfolio or do something in the field of arts. So that is our graphics program. We offer a jewelry program, and in jewelry, you do not need to take art exploration. It is absolutely helpful to have that drawing ability to come into this course, but you can go into Jewelry 1 in 10th grade, and it could be your first art course. This is a great course for students that like to really work with their hands. In this course, in Jewelry 1, students will learn how to cut metal, they'll learn how to solder, and shape and form. They can go on to Jewelry 2. We do casting, we do photo etching. And these are all examples of pieces that students make. And they can go on to Jewelry 3, where we do, they actually create a set of silverware. So they're learning some of that, different techniques. And they have some time to do some independent and creating their own series of work. Last year, we just received a Form 3 3D printer from the foundation. State of the art, students can create a piece of their design on the Rhino CAD program, and we could print that design onto the Form 3 3D printer. And we could take that model, that wax model, and we can cast that into silver, and we could do that all right in our classroom. So it's pretty exciting. We got the Form 3D printer like right before we went into, we all got shut down and had to go home. So we really haven't had the opportunity to use it that much, but I'm really excited to be able to start working with that at the end of this year and then going into next year. Our photo program is an amazing program. We actually teach, I think, 5 or 6 photo classes. You can start in photo 1. It is required to have art exploration to go into photo. And then from photo 1, you can take a second year of photo 2. And as Mr. Peter John said, we offer a CAT course in photo where students can earn the College Credit Plus through Kenyon College. So they could do that instead of photo 2. It would be they would choose to do CAT. And we encourage most kids to take the CAT program instead of the photo 2, because they can get the college credit for that, and it's no cost to them. So it's just a great opportunity. So that is our photo program. We got one more slide. There we go. And we also offer ceramics. And ceramics, again, a great way if you like to work more with your hands, working more three-dimensional form. And ceramics 1, you do not need to have a prerequisite for this class. You can come in 10th grade to start ceramics. And in this course, they learn to do hand building, and then they also learn to work on a wheel, and then they create some sculptural pieces with the ceramics. And again, they can go from ceramics 1, their 10th grade year, to ceramics 2, their junior year, and then they can go on to ceramics 3, their senior year. And then we have kids that intermix the art classes all the time. A lot of our students, that take ceramics will be taking jewelry. My portfolio students also have taken jewelry or ceramics, so they have the experience with the 3D courses as well as 2D art courses. So it's kind of a quick run through of the art program. Again, not too many high schools have this many options for art classes. Very few schools actually offer jewelry programs. So Shaker really supports the arts, and we really have a strong program. So take advantage of it.
And John, before you jump in, I have no idea if you intend to talk about this, but this is just an example, because Shaker has just a rich program in the musical arts and the theater arts as well. I don't know if you're going to tell us about those, but I think just for middle school parents, just know that depth of offering that she talked about is there in the performing arts as well.
Absolutely. And this is really, I think what Karen did a beautiful job of, thank you, Karen, is articulating the different pathways, as Emily called them in the beginning, that young people can choose to take. But I think Karen said something else that's really important that you heard Eric say and Dave talked about and will continue to do so, is that particularly in the last several years, and I think Dave, you would agree with this, we have worked extremely hard to make sure that any pathway we offer is more and more, ever increasingly flexible, that young people, as Karen said, can dip in and dip out, that they can experience the full extent of a pathway. Perhaps they do art exploration, then ceramics 1, 2, and 3, and perhaps they don't. Perhaps they do art X and then ceramics 1, and they choose to do something else in theater or something of that nature. So while we do have these pathways, I suppose, I really would want young people to understand that these are flexible, and that we would encourage any young person to jump on when they're ready for whichever area of interest they may have. I did want to talk, as Emily mentioned, about the performing arts. We have an incredibly robust performing arts department as well. And I wanted to highlight some things that might be a little unique to the high school, particularly that of theater. One of the things I love so much about theater is that it's not only the on the stage type of theater. We have acting classes, drama classes, and things like that. What's probably even more remarkable is that we have the behind the scenes opportunities as well. The playwriting, the directing, the stage managing, so on and so forth. And I think that makes the high school unique in Shaker, where you can have a full course experience, both on stage and behind the scenes in theater. Orchestra and band continue from the middle school through the high school. Many young people will stay in the band or orchestra through all 4 years. And even some will go on and add an additional performing arts, something like the choir, which we have many options for choir. And let me be the first to tell you, you would just love Mr. Clopton Zimler. I did link in there some specific opportunities for our performing arts. And in fact, many of our programs have clearly articulated course offerings on our, what we call an academic planning guide. We've got a link in there that for you. Just to show you briefly before I wrap up with IB, what that might look like. Should you choose any sort of, let's go with math, for example. I'll make sure Mr. Babcock's paying attention here. I know how to grip his attention. It's just to mention math. You can click on this link and very easily see all of the many, many options. I will say, however, and this is where Emily's mantra really comes in, you got to know how to navigate it. You got to know where to look, which is why we have experts like Mr. Peter John who meet with every single student, counselors do, to make sure that you understand the full course of opportunities that you might have. Notice, though, if I click on just, a random class, you'll notice it'll tell you right away what's recommended, but you would be hard pressed in a lot of these to find anywhere where it says required. So that day, kind of where you have to be on a certain step in 9th grade in order to reach, X by 11th and 12th, we've worked on that tremendously hard so that when a child is developmentally ready and or interested, that they can be supported in choosing whatever class suits them best when it suits them best. So I just want to reiterate that, 9th grade is simply your appetizer to the rest of the high school. You're not locked into a certain set or pathway at the beginning of your 9th grade year. This, I think, will help you navigate that a little bit.
John, before you go
Yes.
on,
Yep.
there's still that little path that I think it's program planning for 9th graders where it shows where the classes lead.
Those have
still
been
there?
removed, Emily, because the pathways are so fluid now. Because of all of the desegregating of classes we've done and detracking and de-leveling, a lot of those pathways have on and off ramps throughout the full course of high school. That being said, I have to point your attention to one thing. I am absolutely passionate, some may say zealous, about our IB diploma program because I see, and I've experienced myself, the amazing things it can do for youth. It is a cohort, which means that you are together with other young people who have chosen this rigorous experience. And while it might have some challenging classes, what's special about the IB diploma program is that it is absolutely and fully committed to the idea of inquiry, research, collaboration, and all of that comes through in this academic family, this cohort that we create in grades 11 and 12. Unlike what we've heard so far tonight, in many ways, unlike the AP, the College Credit Plus, and the arts programming, in a way, the diploma program is more like the career technical. And here's what I mean by that. It is a whole program that if you choose to do our IB diploma, you will choose 6 or so IB classes out of 21, and you get that full 3-course or 6-course, if you will, 6-course meal. And while you have options within your language or options within math and so on and so forth, you will have to choose IB classes in each of those categories: English, language acquisition, individuals and societies, and so on and so forth. And the reason for that is because another thing that makes IB so unique is that these classes talk to each other. The curriculum by design includes overlaps between what you're learning maybe in psychology and enviro or math and so on and so forth. And so when a young person gets the benefit of that whole IB program, we work really hard so that young people see the connections across the different subject areas. To further that cause, we have a theory of knowledge class, TOK, which is all about critical and creative thinking. It helps young people to make those connections. Additionally, young people in the full diploma do an extended essay as well as some service hours. That's what the CAS stands for. You'll read more about that on the website. But essentially, the extended essay is an honors thesis. It's a research topic, an idea that a young person chooses their 11th grade year and works to research and write about it over the last 2 years of high school. Unlike our PYP and MYP, which everybody's pre-K through 10, PYP and MYP, IB wall to wall, the diploma program is self-selected for those juniors and seniors, largely because, like AP, there are exams. And those exams, as well as some internal class work, is going to give a student a score 1 to 7. You may recall AP was 1 to 5. 4 and above is passing. Short answer to that. Depending on how you score in these classes, like AP and College Credit Plus, you have the opportunity for some college credit or preferential admissions and so on and so forth. Finally, I want to really bring your attention to the one contradiction. I talked about how hard we have fought to bring all of these rich opportunities to all of our kids. The IB Diploma Program does have one sticking point, and here's what it is. Based on where the Diploma Program curriculum picks up, we need young people to have completed Algebra 2 by 10th grade. That way in 11th grade, they pick right up in our IB Diploma Program math, and they're well on their way to achieving that diploma. Now, we've got lots of opportunities for young people to have completed that Algebra 2, one of which is to have completed Algebra 1 in 8th grade. We currently have a 9th grade math fast track where young people can experience both Algebra 1 and geometry. It's a double dose of math, 9th grade. That's going to get them ready for more of these IB-like experiences in 11th and 12th. And in fact, some young people will take Algebra 2 in the summer at Tri-C or otherwise, so that they feel really ready for our program. If you are a young person or a family that says, wow, this sounds tough, it sounds amazing, but challenging, we do have some summer opportunities. Mr. Babcock's involved. Ms. Davis is involved championing this work, so that with a little bit of a summer bridge, if you will, we really work on refining some of the skills that young people could benefit from if they choose to do something like our IB Diploma Program. Now, Emily is going to say, and rightfully so, that there is so much to know, and it's way too much for one evening. Well, she's right. I invite you to check out our website. We have a full information session on the program there. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. Long story short, in many ways, the district's commitment to an IB education based on assessment, based on authentic experiences and inquiry, that culminates in this diploma program option in 11th and 12th grade. Wow, that was certainly a mouthful. And I bet you we left you with more questions than answers in some cases. It looks like we've got a few minutes left. We would love to answer and respond any questions that you might have. You're welcome to put them in the chat or up to Emily, come off mic, but we'd love to support any questions you might have. Thanks for joining us tonight.
I find it works best if you just put your name that you have a question in the chat, and I'll call on you, and then we don't have to either repeat your question or worry about people talking over each other. But John, I want to throw out the names of classes that I know of at the high school that middle school parents don't know, and you can just tell me if we don't have those classes anymore. We all know you've got a planetarium. There are a bunch of classes in there.
Yeah.
Oceanography, AP Psychology, AP Sociology, Human Rights and Conflict, Social Justice class, I think. I know my daughter took oppression. Is that still a thing? What do you do in the planetarium? You know.
No, can I chime in, John, or no? Or do you want to? Emily kind of stole my thunder. I know all this AP, IB, CCP, CTE. They're great opportunities, but there's a lot of wonderful individual classes that are not necessarily AP, but how many high schools have a planetarium? I remember going to the planetarium back in the mid-70s, and we have an astronomy class that students can take in 10th grade, 11th or 12th grade. We have classical Greek for students that are in addition to Latin at the high school. Students can take up to 4 years of Greek. We have sociology and criminology for seniors. They're not AP classes because there's not AP tests, but those are wonderful. Psychology, there's an AP psychology class, a regular / honors psychology. There's a human rights and conflict, which is oppression is no longer around, Emily, but it's very similar, human rights and conflict. We talked about the cap. Miss Karen DeMauro mentioned the jewelry. Yeah, how many high schools have a jewelry metals making class? We have an award-winning newspaper, journalism.
We didn't talk about that.
Yeah, students can take journalism in 9th grade and get themselves off and running and become Shakerite editors, or they could take journalism in 10th grade just to experiment.
National correspondent Wes Lowry is a Shakerite editor alum, but there's a whole pathway just as rich as what Mrs. DeMauro talked about in the journalism department. Yeah,
there's an Asian studies class where they do a 4-year rotation of Japan, China, Korea, and India. Every 4th year they do that. It's a kind of combination of English and history, exploring the culture, and they do field trips to the art museum. American Experience for 10th graders, where an English teacher and an American history teacher work together as a team, and they intertwine American history and American literature. It's a really great way. One of my younger daughters who just graduated last year took American Experience. It's a great way to learn history and American literature if you like the idea of 2 teachers working together and coordinating and developing their lessons together. So those are some examples of other, theater. Dr. Moore mentioned we have a stagecrafter. That's more the set design. It's not just building the set though. The audio, the lighting, the costume, kind of everything behind the scenes with theater. And that's something that students can take in 9th grade. So yeah, there's a lot of great opportunities, individual classes here and there. We now have anatomy and physiology. It used to be called Bio 2, Bio 3. It's basically anatomy and physiology. That's going to be for upperclassmen. You mentioned geology and oceanography, Emily. Yeah, so there's a lot of great electives throughout all departments that students can pursue individually, which is really nice, I think.
Leslie, I don't think the private schools have such breadth. Good point. I know that Amy Davis, who was the principal of Onaway's son, went to university school, and in high school he had to come back to Shaker because of the art program. So John, you want to answer this too? You answered the questions in the chat. Do you want to, before we're done here, do you want to speak to what's so amazing about IB? I mean, colleges accept IB. I think the kids that do IB feel like that's a big factor in their college acceptances, right?
Emily, it really is. College acceptance, scholarships, admissions. I mean, those are really nice. I got to be honest, though, that is not necessarily what I lead with as a coordinator. Those are all very true. And for me as a Shaker educator, what these young people do in their time as IB graduates in Shaker, for me as an educator, far exceeds any college, Ivy League or otherwise, they could possibly go to, mainly because we work really hard on supporting them to become well-rounded, action-oriented, service-minded leaders. And I would invite you to talk to any of the young people. You can see them on the video on our website. And we have lots of information sessions that you can look forward to in the coming years. I'd love to tell you more.
This has been fantastic, you guys. Thank you so much. I really feel like parents in the middle school level have no idea. And as Leslie said, I think Shaker doesn't toot our own horn and promote, there's not enough advertising about what's going on at the high school. I mean, I think it's so funny, Dave, that we totally forgot about journalism. And in fact, my oldest went through the journalism program and ended up getting a job at downtown Boulder before graduate school, where she literally did what she was taught in that class. She wrote pieces, interviewed, merchants and wrote pieces in exactly the way she was taught in journalism. So she used it professionally, not as a journalist, but just as a marketing person. And we didn't even think of that. So there are so many opportunities. It's really amazing. We got 5 new messages, which are all thank yous. I'm sure we could do 10 of these sessions. Eric, I feel like you were a little looked over. Do you have anything you want to add? You did a great job, but I feel like we neglected you.
Well, that's because all I can talk about is math. And that I like math. I'm a math teacher, so it goes with it. But the big thing that I want to echo from all of this is like the key takeaway is that Shaker has a lot of opportunities for kids to find success in a way that helps them be successful. Like there's lots of stuff out there, and there's always going to be something for every single kid. And regardless of whether or not you do IB or AP or CCP or I forget the other alphabet thing, it's gonna be high expectations, and you're gonna learn more than just the content that gets taught in the class. You're gonna get to learn all sorts of skills. So there's lots of cool stuff at high school.
Great. I really appreciate everybody. We didn't even talk about statistics. I know you have AP stats, and I know my daughter, who is in IB right now, chose not to be in the higher level math in IB. She's in the SL, regular math in IB. And the class she's taking is trig and statistics, half and half, which I thought was fantastic. Unlike her older sister who got boxed into BC Calc she didn't need, Natalie is learning about calc and statistics. So thank you guys so much. I really don't think you appreciate how needed this information is for Woodbury Middle School parents. And we really appreciate you taking time out of your evening. I know it's not your contract time and you're here as volunteers, and you're just wonderful, even just for doing that, much less. That's wonderful, much less the information that we gained as well. So thank you. And I'm going to have to log off because of the dogs. Miata, do you want to say anything real quick before we end up here? Thank you for coming as well. We appreciate you. And
of course, I was writing in the chat. I didn't know if it was going to go off very quickly, but thank you, Dr. Moore and Mr. Peter John, Mr. Babcock, and Ms. Amora for coming this evening. This information was wonderful. There was a question in here about if our 8th graders know about all of these things. I do know our counselors typically, like Mr. Peter John said, the counselors at the high school will go into each 10th grade class to talk about CTE and all the offerings. Our 8th grade our school counselors did a little bit different this year, usually right before the 9th grade kind of parent orientation in February. So in January, they talked to the students about offerings at the high school, but I think that it's really important for our parents to kind of know more of that as they're making decisions for next year, and just knowing everything that the high school offers. And our job at the middle school is to prepare them for all of the things that are happening, at the high school. So again, thank you so much. And we will see you soon. And next week, just to let everyone know that on Monday, same time, 7 o'clock, that we will have a presentation actually with our middle school teachers, who will talk to you about instruction at the middle school, so you can see how all of this kind of fits together. And so we'll do a little recap of what people have heard tonight, briefly, just to help people understand where the students are going after middle school. So again, thank you. We hope to see you next week at 7 o'clock.
thank you, and thank everybody. And yes, and I put the link in the chat a second time. I think we will try to share that link on the PTO website. And this program will be available. Stacy, do you want to tell us how to get this program and last week and next week's programs? And the Woodbury did a phenomenal program on
You guys,
instruction.
can you turn that off a second? Hi, all. Yes, so new this year, PTO Council has its own YouTube channel. Any and all recorded meetings end up on that channel, and you can get to the link using shakerpto.org. We also send YouTube links out in newsletters and email blasts, and sometimes they're posted to Facebook pages as well. But shakerpto.org is the easiest way, and I'll put that in the chat.
And Stacy, can we put up that John's slides there as well? Oh. All right. Great. Thank you everyone for coming. We really appreciate it. It was really great. I got a lot of very positive feedback, as you can see in the chat, and some text. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Or Sepkeys, if you can hear me, I'm going to go ahead and log you off. Hi.
Hi, you're still recording.
Let's